This is Awesome Wrestling Show. Terry HH promo, take one.
Yo, what's up, dudes? This is Terry, the real American HH, brother, and you're listening to This Is Awesome Wrestling Show, brother, hosted by two dudes who you wouldn't have to pay for me to team with at WrestleMania, brother, if you catch my drift.
No, cut. Stick to the script.
This is Awesome Wrestling Show. Terry HH promo, take two.
Hey, this is Terry, the real American HH, brother, and you're listening to two dudes on the This Is Awesome Wrestling Show, getting ready to run wild on you, brother. Let's listen up. This is two dudes that I definitely would rather have as being the current WWE Tag Team Champions, brother.
Cut. What are you trying to say, Hulk?
Because you guys would just make better champions, because you're better people.
Are you mad because they're black?
What?
This is Awesome Wrestling Show. Terry HH promo, take three.
Hey, what's going on, everybody out there? Listen, this is Terry HH, you know, the real American. You're listening to This Is Awesome Wrestling Show, dudes, hosted by two dudes, brother, who are as white as my hair has become, brother, and that's all right by me.
Can't say that. Stick to the script or we have to cut it.
It's an observation.
This is Awesome Wrestling Show. Terry HH promo, take four.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is the very not racist Terry, the real American HH, brother, and you're listening to the This Is Awesome Wrestling Show, hosted by two dudes. I'll tell you what, I'd call these dudes my niggas, brother, because that's what they are. So what you gonna do, brother, when the guys from the This Is Awesome Wrestling Show run wild on you?
We're done, Terry. Terry, we're done.
What?
We're done.
What's
We're
that?
Done. Nope, we're done. Bye-bye.
What's wrong with that, brother?
Terry, we're done. You can't say that
That's
in the
not.
promo.
It's not racist. I didn't use the ER, brother.
You can't.
It makes it better.
You can't say
It's
that.
helping.
You can't say that.
They're gonna like.
No,
they're gonna like me better then.
We're done. We're done, Terry.
Produced by the Cleveland Sound Radio Network. Here is the This Is Awesome Wrestling Show, hosted by Glenn Moore and Steve Guy.
Steve, I can't keep doing this, man. I can't keep doing this. In June, we had Dusty Rhodes pass away. Last week, Rowdy Roddy Piper has passed away, young age. I cannot keep seeing our childhood heroes go. And we talked about this before with Dusty, Steve, that as we get older, our heroes are getting older. They don't stay the same age forever.
But they're not that old.
True. Piper was not that old.
61?
61. And
I work with a guy that's 62.
Yeah, but these wrestlers, man.
And he looks in worse shape
than Piper
than
did?
Piper did.
Piper did look in good shape.
Yeah.
He battled cancer. He was cancer-free. Reportedly, when he passed away Thursday night in his sleep, he was cancer-free. And they're calling it, cardiac arrest, I believe. Just passed away in his sleep. We've seen Piper a lot, obviously in the 80s and 90s, and you read all the articles people have written about him in the past, 3 or 4 days, and we knew this before, but it just kind of, really hammers the hammerhead on that. If there was no Roddy Piper, there would be no WrestleMania. There would be no Hulk Hogan.
Right.
No Attitude Era. No Stone Cold Steve Austin. The heel that was the cool heel didn't exist until
started with Rowdy Roddy Piper.
And leading after that, WB took off. And WWF took off, Attitude Era. I mean, there would be no Stone Cold. The graphs that Piper has on wrestling, even now, you can't measure it. And he has the same effect as Dusty. But Piper started it with WWF back in the day and led the WCW. He was a man that it was cool to be the bad guy.
Yeah, the comparison has been made, and watching Raw and when he did the kind of nod to Piper, Dean Ambrose to Rowdy Roddy Piper. And when I look back now, and now having spent a few days watching Piper stuff, I see it even more. That's not to say that Dean Ambrose is the next Rowdy Roddy Piper, but I see the persona more so. The crazy loose cannon guy that, he's kind of a heel, but, he's kind of not, because he's just just out there, man, and he's on his own terms. You know, he's not. It's not necessarily that he's a bad guy. It's not necessarily that he's a good guy. You know, some days he might team up with the bad guys, and then on others he might be like, but I still really just hate this guy, no matter who he is.
Yeah.
If it's a heel to face, that's the kind of the code he lives by, and you know, Piper getting away with smashing a coconut on Snooker's head, things like that. It just loose goofball stuff. I mean, the whole. Would you think that just when you think you've got all the answers, it changes the questions? Like, what? Who says that? What does it even mean?
Who comes up with this kind of stuff?
And that's the kind of like nonsense stuff that you expect to hear now, like out of a Dean Ambrose mouth. Like, what the hell did he just say?
I don't think it's fair to compare guys from this era right now to Piper or Dusty or any guy that, you know, when they pass away, this so-and-so guy reminds me of this guy, but because I think it's two different eras, and
but
Piper's was allowed to do a lot more. But I can see the similarities.
Exactly. And that's
if Ambrose was
you
back
could see
then,
you could see the influence on it.
Yeah,
you got excited there.
Yeah,
you could see you could see the influence of Roddy Piper more so in Dean Ambrose than anybody else.
Yeah. And my favorite line from Piper is not even from in the ring. It was from the movie They Live, and he walks into the I think it was the bank with his gun, and he goes, "I came here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum."
That's what Dean Ambrose said that last night on Raw, which is pretty great.
It's awesome. I had a chance to interview Piper last year.
Yeah.
They had here Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies, which is a movie. Have you seen it?
No, but I know the movie.
Okay. It has like Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Right.
It has Shane Douglas. It has all these odds and ends wrestlers, and Piper is in the movie. He actually smashes a coconut over a zombie's head and kills a zombie. It was great. So when they were promoting the movie, because they were showing it here in Cleveland, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan was here in Cleveland, Shane Douglas was here in Cleveland, to watch the movie. You can sit with them and watch the movie. They were,
yes, I remember that. Yeah.
And Piper was part of the media tour. He wasn't here in Cleveland, but he was doing the media rounds promoting the movie. So I had a chance to interview him, and it was surreal for me because I loved Piper as a kid and loved him at interviewing one of my idols. And you know, he's thanking me to giving him time to talk when I'm the one sitting there like a little schoolboy, giddy as hell because I'm interviewing Roddy Piper. It was amazing. But that's the kind of person he was, and he was on Celebrity Wife Swap with Ric Flair. And it was amazing. And you saw Piper and his family. You know, in wrestling, you usually, marriages don't work out that long.
Yeah, he's been with her for
a long time. And they have kids. I believe his son is going to be trying to be
a wrestler right now. Yeah.
But you can tell that he was a family guy first, no matter how crazy he got in the '80s. Because there's stories of him with alcohol and all those crazy. Obviously, everybody was doing it wrestling back then that was high profile. But he always stayed true to this family, and that was one thing that I thought of when he first passed away was, wow, you saw him on Wife Swap, you saw the the closeness with his family, and now he's gone and he passed away in his sleep. It's kind of eerie because the way he went in his sleep, quiet, when we all know him as the loud, rambunctious Roddy Piper, but passed away at 61 years old. There's an interview he did I think 12 years ago. It was, I forget what major station. I think it was CNN or MSNBC, and they interviewed Piper. I think that he wasn't with WWE anymore, or he was on bad terms with them or something. And he was talking about, he didn't like himself when he was Piper, and that he goes, "Hey, I know I'm not going to live till I'm 65. I'm going to pass away before I'm 65." And you listen to that interview now, it just gives you chills because he died when he was 61.
It's like the Warrior giving his speech the night before he died.
He knew he was going to pass away at a young age.
What I thought was cool was, I don't know if you watched the Ronda Rousey fight this past weekend, but then they interviewed her afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
And, I knew that they were kind of close or, in passing, and I knew the story how he gave her the Rowdy name to use. And, but, I mean, I didn't realize that they were close enough. Like, she was one of the last people to talk to him.
Yeah.
Outside his family. She said they talked, a couple hours the night before, 2 nights before the fight. for hours on the phone. And again, I think that just lends credence to the guy he was, reaching out to people, just, the lover of life and of people, and you hear these stories, man, that's awesome. Like, that's what and we had this conversation on last week's show about somebody and what he got busted doing or saying, and then you hear stories about this with Piper, and you're like, that's what you want to hear of the guys you grew up with, that you idolized growing up. I loved Piper growing up.
Oh yeah, definitely.
As someone who, like, in my family, we had Scottish and Irish heritage, and like I was always around bagpipes and stuff, and I always thought of that, and I loved it. And so it's like, to hear that, all right, he was a pretty awesome dude. Good. That's what I want.
Yeah.
And if you're not a wrestling fan, other people I think can relate to that too, and wanting that out of their people, like I don't know, whoever somebody might idolize, Mark McGuire, and then you're like, oh crap, he was sitting here juicing the whole time. Well, that sucks. He's not as honest as we would have hoped he was. Even Michael Irvin, fantastic. Maybe he's a good person now or whatever, but all hopped up on coke when he was with the Cowboys.
It's perception. You think of the first negative thing you think about somebody.
Yeah.
Even all the good they did, it could be one bad thing. That's the first thing you think of is a bad thing.
With Roddy Piper outside of wrestling, I think about how he was RoboCop during the RoboCop TV series.
Yeah.
In that suit. And like I told you before, we watched the preview before the show. One of my favorite movies as a kid growing up, like just a cheesy thing to watch. And I stumbled upon it on a Sunday afternoon. It was a movie called Body Slam with Dirk Benedict from the A-Team.
Yeah.
And Roddy Piper is a part of this tag team that he's promoting, and then he takes his rock band, and all of a sudden it's a rock band, and it's these wrestlers going together. And it was two of my favorite things as a kid was music, like cheesy 80s rock music, and wrestling. And it was in one movie, and that's what the movie was about. So it was the perfect movie for me.
I obviously They Live was a cool movie, sci-fi movie that he starred in, but he was acting and also wrestling. And the one thing about WWE is that we talk about wrestling, with people, you the listeners, when we see you out, at other events, and how the product sucks now, and the PG era sucks because we're used to the Attitude Era. But the one thing they do very well is their tribute videos they put on when a person does pass away. I don't know who throws onions in the room when that comes on the TV, because my eyes start watering up, but they know how to touch the feels, and it's with Dusty's, any of them, even Paul Bear's, it was sad to watch, but Piper's was amazing because there are so many sound bites that they can play, and they played them all, and it's sad just to watch, but they do very, very, very well. That their tribute videos, it's bar none. It's probably the best tribute videos you can ever see when they do a tribute to somebody that passes away.
Watching that and what you just said there with like the PG era of wrestling now, and this, you think back to that era of Hogan and Piper and Macho Man, and it was very PG-esque, but you had these larger than life characters. These guys were just amazing at it.
Yeah.
Piper wasn't doing things that were like salacious or over the top innuendos like the Attitude Era, but he's still this guy that, like, you look back and you're like, man, was he wildly entertaining. Think about it. Even though you had the Barbershop with Brutus Barber Beefcake, before you had Piper's Pit. Without Piper's Pit, you don't have the Barbershop, you don't have Ms. TV, you don't have Edge's show, I don't remember what the hell it's called, you don't have Jericho, the highlight reel, you don't have the Peep Show, Christian.
Cutting Edge.
There you go. You don't have any of those things either without Piper's Pit. And just the things he had influence on. But again, like, he wasn't, all right, so the craziest, rowdiest thing that he did that maybe wasn't PG is, again, he smashed a coconut on a guy's head. Maybe they used chairs and things like that, but it wasn't anything over the top in terms of, it wasn't cussing. I mean, they curse now more in this PG era than they did back then. So why can't guys come out with those personalities? Why can't somebody have that over of a personality? I get that we all want good wrestling, and we do. But even those of us who sit here and say, we just want to see a good match, that's false. Because at the end of it, we still want to see great characters too. And a guy like Piper, you got that back then. So we are lacking the characters.
Don't forget Carlitos Cabana.
That's right.
Don't forget that one.
The Cabana was fantastic.
It was fantastic. No, I agree. It takes a special personality and a guy that has a charisma to go out there by himself, middle of a ring, and captivate the audience, not only in the arena but also in on TV, because that audience can quickly turn on you if you're not delivering in the ring. And that's one thing about, I think, the one person that does it very well now is The Miz. He is the bad guy heel, and he's entertaining. And I think last night was perfect. He comes out to the Hot Rod T-shirt. Obviously, he's going to get cheered, but he's a bad guy.
Right.
He's had this shirt or sweatshirt wrapped around his waist. It looks like he's wearing a kilt. It looks like he's not, but it looks like he's paying tribute to Piper. He says, hey, if it wasn't for Piper, there would be no Miz TV. There would be no. He ran it like he ran it off, and he's getting cheered. But he knows how to quickly turn it now to being the Miz, calling out two guys that are, obviously Cesaro is over, and he didn't say that much like between Owens and Cesaro, but his facial expressions were the best, and that's what WB lacks. Is okay, the Miz isn't as WWE champion anymore. He isn't main eventing WrestleMania. I think he's underrated when it comes to being a wrestler. I think he deserves more in major storylines. That's because he's not only a friend, but that's because I think he has done a lot with Miz TV, to being the heel with Sandow, with Mizdow. That whole thing was probably the most entertaining TV. But the point I'm trying to make is it's the Miz knows how to get an audience riled up. He knows what to say. And that's what Piper did. He knew what to say to get the audience riled up, but you love to hate him. And I think now it's lacking because these guys are coming in. They're great wrestlers, but some are lacking the charisma to be a guy that we love to hate. Obviously,
like Kevin Owens does it very well as well.
Definitely, yeah.
He's awesome at it. Those two probably are the personas that throw you over the top. And as much as we hate on John Cena and everybody else, John Cena does it.
Yeah.
You understand the character or person, and again, it's not necessarily a character, but you understand the persona of John Cena night in and night out. And he's over the top, and you will remember that. I look back and I think about the Hall of Fame, and Piper's in the Hall of Fame, and he wasn't ever anything higher than an Intercontinental champion. But 20, 30 years from now, and I'm talking to somebody about past wrestling, I'm going to talk about Rowdy Roddy Piper. But I might forget Edge's name in conversation, and he was a champion, and we've put him in the Hall of Fame now.
Yeah.
And he should be, Edge should be best remembered for the tag matches that he had.
Yeah.
But because, the championship is this, and some of this lends to the prestige of these things. The prestige of the Intercontinental Championship is that a guy named Rowdy Roddy Piper, who is arguably one of the most iconic figures in WWE history, and is in the Hall of Fame, and is a name and a persona that we will always remember, was nothing more than the Intercontinental Champion.
Yep.
And for me to say he's nothing more makes it sound like, oh, he never really got his due. No, it's because that's what it was. It was that prestigious. And it wasn't, back then it wasn't fans were like, well, we want this guy who puts on the best match to be the champion, and because we love Daniel Bryan because he's a great tactical wrestler, blah, 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 and so he should become the champion. No, maybe he shouldn't.
Yeah.
Maybe guys should just be awesome Intercontinental champions and just awesome characters that we remember forever.
Yeah, I agree. And, Piper was in the main event at WrestleMania 1 with you have Hogan there.
Yeah, just because you're the Intercontinental champion doesn't mean you're not a main eventer.
Exactly. And you don't need the belt the WWE Championship, whatever they want to call it, to validate your career. You don't need it. And the IC title was one of the prestigious titles back then. I know they're trying to do the same thing with the U.S. title, Cena versus Rollins,
right.
Winner take all. I get that. Obviously, Cena holding it. If Wade Barrett was holding the U.S. title, they're not going to have a winner take all match with Rollins at SummerSlam. So it's more of the person carrying it now with Cena than the meaning of the title, like back in the day, who had the IC title. That person was elevated. Now it feels like you feel like the person has to elevate the title with just the name. The title isn't elevating anybody at all, which is terrible. It's bad writing and bad booking, is what it is. But you're absolutely correct about Piper only being an IC champion. I say only is, like you said, you don't need to have a 7 world title reigns, 16. I mean, Flair 16 time, but I mean, he's Ric Flair,
right?
But you don't. Like Edge is countless. Triple H countless many times.
Yeah, Edge was 12 times or something like that.
But you're right. You're not going to think of that when you think of Edge. I'm thinking of the 5-second poses, or the TLC matches they had with the Hardy Boys. I'm thinking of that more than him and going against JBL or the Undertaker. I'm thinking of the tag team titles, and that's not bad because that's when we fell in love with wrestling. Teenage years that's what I remember Edge by. You remember certain eras with certain wrestlers, like Jerry the King Lawler. I remember him not as a wrestler, but as the commentator of the Attitude Era. Yeah, being a heel commentator. That's what you think of when you think of Jerry the King Lawler. But they had done so much more. But and Lawler has never won a world title. He hasn't even won one single title in the WWF, and he was a full-time wrestler. Yeah, before he became a commentator. So it's nice to see the love that Piper has gotten the last 6 days since his passing, and it's a shame. And these guys are going way too early. I don't think we need to do a whole TV special on why wrestlers are dying when they're. I mean, obviously, dude, they're taking bumps. They're every day they're doing something. Yeah, it's not steroids.
Well, and I get that he was, from Roddy's standpoint, just being a person who's been around it. I understand. Great, he was cancer free at the time that he died, but that battle takes a lot out of a person, and that will take some years off you no matter what. Not right then, but in general it will.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back, and we're going to talk some more wrestling here.
Get a little more upbeat.
Yeah, a little more upbeat. Virgil's blowing up my phone. All right, dude, if you don't follow Virgil on Periscope, you probably should.
Speaking of up, huh?
Yeah.
Up Periscope.
I follow Virgil on Periscope, and this dude is absolutely blowing up my phone. Sorry for the notification, but Virgil is at Marilyn Manson right now at the concert, and he's having a good old time. So I'll make sure I turn my notifications off. Sorry about that. Hopefully he won't be blowing the phone up.
Is he with the $1 Million Man at Marilyn Manson?
No, I don't think he is.
Okay.
I don't think he is. All right, well, sorry for that. We'll come back. We'll talk more about Raw. We'll talk about Paige on the Stone Cold podcast. Love Paige. Love her to death.
How do you feel about TV superheroes?
What do you mean?
Oh, I don't know, like the Green Arrow.
Oh God, no. We'll talk about that too. Who we talk? Yeah, we'll talk about that, and we'll wrap the show up with more Virgil. Dude, stop blowing up my phone, dude. Stop.
Is this tight T-shirt right here? Come get it, baby. Come get the T-shirt. Come get it now.
Thanks for downloading this week's show, but we want to hear from you. Send your questions, comments, or concerns to me, Glenn. The email is glenn@clesound.com. That's glenn@clesound.com. And your question could be read during the show. If you haven't subscribed to us on iTunes, head over there, subscribe, leave a rating, leave a comment. Follow us on Twitter. We haven't promoted our new Twitter yet.
No, we haven't. Follow us at TIA Wrestling.
Come on.
The problem is I didn't want to say AI Wrestling and mix us up with AIW.
TIA Wrestling on Twitter, Instagram. Follow us. Larry Zbyszko interview was posted earlier this week, so go on iTunes, go on the CLE Sound, Lipson, Stitcher. Listen to Larry Zbyszko. Great interview with him.
We're sorry for those of you who got that episode a week behind.
Yeah. It was posted a little bit late, but Zbyszko interview was before Piper passed away, so that's why there's no Piper questions, even though Zbyszko was posted earlier this week. So we apologize for the delay. Got a couple texts from people asking me the new episode, and they want to know who won the book. So if you listen to this episode, want to know who won the book, go back listen to the Larry Zbyszko show.
Yes.
little announcements. Chris Perez, former Cleveland Indians closer, will be on the show.
Speaking of strong personalities.
Yeah. A man that, probably ask him, why the hell is Chris Perez going to be on the wrestling show? He loves wrestling. Absolutely loves it. I've done plenty of podcasts and shows with Chris, and we just can go on about talking about wrestling. He still watches it. Good friends with Jerry the King Lawler. So we're going to be talking with Chris next week about wrestling, him growing up, any memories he has of Piper. So Chris Perez, former Tribe closer, who is the third on the list of all-time save leavers in Tribe history. Number 3.
Who's number 1?
Come on. You know who number 1 is. Do you know number 1 is?
Joe's Mesa.
No, Perez has more than Mesa.
Oh, yeah? Jose Mesa was actually only like a closer for 2 years.
Yeah. It is Bob Wickman, number 1. And then Doug Jones, number 2.
I didn't know it was Bob Wickman.
Bob Wickman.
Man, everybody hated on him, but he was our closer for like 4 or 5 years.
He was
solid. I know he made you nervous when he got a guy on base, but for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Who's after Chris Perez? Mike Jackson?
I think it's Mesa.
Then
Mike Jackson, yeah. All right, so Perez will be on the show next week, so stay tuned for that. Next week's show, look out for that one. And then we have waiting on Daniel Bryan to come on the show. Haven't gotten a call back from D-Bry, so we got to do that still as well. Then AI Wrestling, AIW, is going to be at Wrestling Geek Fest here in Strongsville, Ohio. So if you're in the area, make sure I'm sure plenty of you will be out there, but they're putting on their Battle of the Sexes event.
Ooh.
A lot of great action. So go to AIWrestling.com. Check that out. We'll probably be out there doing some interviews, hanging around, watching the wrestling action, and a lot of great action. Not only for AIW, but a lot of the other not promotions, but other matches they're going to have there. A lot of former WB guys are going to be there. So go to the Wrestling Geek Fest. Check out their Twitter. Check out their website, and definitely go to AIWrestling.com. Now,
will AIW put on a Battle of the Races and invite Hulk Hogan?
Oh my God.
Question for John Thornton one day.
I wonder how much Hogan will charge for an appearance. I'm sure Thorne has inquired.
Book Battle of the Races, book Hulk Hogan, and see if he'll take the loss.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
He might, that might get him back over with everybody.
Oh my God, dude! Virgil keeps blowing up my phone.
He's not doing anything else.
This time, fans are I can't do that. I gotta follow it every single time. Do not follow Virgil on here. Maybe Virgil versus Hulk Hogan could be a match. Would you pay to see that?
No.
Virgil, NWO brothers.
Not now.
Going at it.
Possibly not.
All right. Did you watch Paige on Stone Cold Podcast following Raw?
I only watched the most important part.
I did too. It's a short little gift. That's all I need. But no, it was great to see Paige on Stone Cold, and Paige is just such a down to earth girl. She's still young. She's only I think 22 years old. She's been wrestling for over 10 years.
Oh, and she's not older than that, huh?
Is she older than that?
I thought maybe. I don't know.
Dude. You want to? Okay.
Because Sasha's only like 20, 22, 23. I guess I didn't realize that Paige was that much.
She's
that
like
young
22.
as well.
I want to say she's 22. Let's see. Paige is 22.
Yeah, you know what? Because they made a big deal about her turning like 21 or something at one point.
Because she was only 20 when she won the title after WrestleMania.
Yeah.
She turns 23 in a couple weeks here. But, she's only 22. But she's been in the business. Her family is in the business out in England. They have their own promotion. If you watch the documentary on YouTube, I strongly suggest to watch it. You'll definitely learn more about Paige and her family. But she was very open, very giddy, kept touching her hair. She was just down to earth, and I'm not saying anything bad about it because I love Paige. And she was great. And, she was nervous a little bit because she's being interviewed by Stone Cold Steve Austin. And she's 22. She idolized Stone Cold growing up. She knows all about the business. And that's like you and I being interviewed by Stone Cold. Of course, you and I are going to act like little schoolgirls, when Stone Cold asking us questions about the business. So I highly recommend you go and watch it on WB Network or on YouTube or whatever you download illegally stuff off the network. We're not condoning it, but if you do it,
Can I just tell you this real quick? What it says on her Wikipedia. It says that she cites Bull Nakano, Lita, and Stone Cold Steve Austin as some of her favorite wrestlers growing up. But do you know who else was in that grouping? Rikishi.
Rikishi.
She really liked wrestling, I guess.
Yeah, really liked it. But that's something to watch. Definitely her on the Stone Cold podcast, WB Network. Stone Cold's a great interviewer. He asks the hard-hitting questions. Doesn't give a crap what the producers are saying in his ears. And that was one thing about Jericho. When Jericho was doing those interviews, is that you can tell that there are just softball questions. And now
Well,
Stone
you know,
Cold,
he throws out on his Instagram all the time is Jericho. Hey, we're best buds, and thanks so much for coming on.
I love Jericho. He does have some great podcast interviews, but he is not the guy for these network interviews. Stone Cold is the guy for these network interviews, definitely.
I wish the Iron Sheik could do them.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Can you imagine him during that Page moment? Oh, Bubba. Oh.
What's the Page moment again? What was the Page moment?
She's running.
Yeah, she's running,
She'll never come on the show now.
bouncing to the ring.
She will never come on
Oh,
the
we'll
show.
get on the show.
Sorry.
We will get her on the show
It
one
was a
day.
silly moment, Paige. We're
We
not
will
being
get her on the
perverts.
show.
It was
There's one
funny.
guy we won't get on the show, ever. That's the guy that opened up the show. We will never get him on the show. He will never be on the show.
He was just on the show. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. But Paige will get on the show. We got to get her on the show.
Let's talk about this Stardust Green Arrow thing.
Oh, God, dude. Don't get me started, dude. No.
You don't like it?
I don't even know who this actor is. Why would I care?
Stephen Amell. He's on.
You can't even say you even know his
I
name.
don't know how to pronounce his name properly, but he is on the show The Green Arrow. He is the Green Arrow.
I don't care about
And
these
he was
comic
sitting in
book guys,
front
dude.
row one time, and Stardust got into it with him. I mean, you got to go with what the kids are watching, what they like, what people, not the kids necessarily, but people
The
like.
kids.
The tweens even and
Hi,
everything.
kids.
It's a big deal for him to be on there for some people. You know, much like it was having Mr. T around.
So what's going to happen?
I don't know. He's probably going to team with Neville.
You know what the rumor is?
What's the rumor?
Stardust and The Miz
Oh, right.
versus Green
Neville
Arrow guy and
Green Arrow.
Neville. Because The Miz has been tweeting out some stuff towards the Green Arrow guy. I would hate that. Why would The
But I
Miz?
like-
He's not comic book character guy.
Yeah, at what point does The Miz
Because he's
move
celebrity.
in with Stardust?
I don't know.
Because The Miz is like Hollywood and he doesn't want another Hollywood guy out there?
Maybe.
Neville's the Red Arrow?
So bad. This is just so bad.
I don't know how it goes.
It's just one of those fluff cross promotion crap things they do for SummerSlam. The biggest party
It would be
of the
fun.
summer.
It would be fun, though, if they made them like real comic book characters, like superhero and villains. You know, like Stardust is cool. It could be like his little cosmic villain, but to put Neville in finally the superhero like outfit of some sort, what would it look like to you?
I'm not a big comic book guy. I never was. I just don't dig it.
Oh, they're fun.
I don't-
Fine,
I
whatever.
don't dig it, dude. I did the Walking Dead comics. That's really it.
How do you feel about? Do you think in the YouTube video that we watched with Billy Gunn yelling
Oh,
at ZZ,
yeah.
do you think he comes off a little bit like Bill
Are we
DeMott?
transitioning? That's a terrible transition, dude.
Nope, I'm just shooting from the hip. Rapid fire. New thought.
All right,
New
so
thought.
let's give a little backstory. If you don't watch Tough Enough, ZZ is totally hated by the judges, which is Lita, Billy Gunn, Booker T. They want him off the show.
And not hated as a person.
No, they love him as a person, but as a wrestler, he's terrible. He is terrible.
And because he's not even doing the things that they're asking of him, like the basic cardio and all that stuff. He's not trying to better himself.
So they want him off the show. And not we, but the internet wrestling community, IWC, keeps voting ZZ to stay on the show. And the judges have had enough because ZZ cannot do the simple moves. He cannot do the setups and the bumps. He can't do it. And he's a lovable guy.
The judges want somebody to win that they can actually then try to create a career with.
Did you know that ZZ is a reality star? He was on reality shows previously.
Oh, really?
He was on some alligator reality show.
Oh, wow. I couldn't imagine that.
some backwoods reality show.
Imagine that.
It was a network TV show, I think, too. So he was known.
So this is what he does.
This is what he does. Go on reality shows. This is bad job on the producers of Tough Enough to get this guy on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's lovable. He's a good guy, but that only could carry you through the first 5 episodes. Now I'm sick of the guy. I don't want him on the show.
But that's what they did. You heard about that the whole time when they were trying to find people. They went less for athleticism, and they wanted to go for people. And they made a mistake there. They failed.
Screwed up big time. And tonight, well, this is when it was recorded, 3 girls were the bottom, and Chelsea got eliminated. So ZZ lasts one more week. I'm sure Billy Gunn is not very happy about this.
ZZ consoled her. But, well, I mean, you knew he was going to last if they went 3 girls this time.
Yeah.
They chose to eliminate a girl, but yeah.
But I don't think that...
Is that not how that works?
No, I think it's just 3 out anybody.
Oh, and all 3 girls were
And
at the
then
bottom?
and then the judges have a chance to save somebody. Or they use their say... I don't get it. The Miz is a great judge, though. The Miz is great TV.
Yeah. You should plug him more on this show.
Well, he's all over. He's all over the place.
He is. But in that clip, okay, so Billy Gunn is just hounding ZZ.
I can't wait for Santa's Little Helper movie to come out this Christmas.
Do you think that... Do you think it would have been worse with Bill DeMott? Remember how much they hated him. Now, was what Billy Gunn doing along those lines, or is it realistic because
I think it's
there's a reason why he was that pissed off?
No, there's a reason. You can't do the simple moves. I think Bill would have done the same thing, but there's other reasons
but
why
Bill would have
got
done
fired.
it. Bill would have done it like, "Hi,
Yeah,
I'm Bill
Bill
DeMott," and he would have been, "Hi, I'm ZZ," and Bill DeMott would have been in his ear and told him he's a fat POS and blah blah blah, or something like that.
Exactly the
Right. Yeah.
chiseled guy. I think DeMott would have had ZZ eat a donut and then run naked around the ring and then slide into a big pool of fudge and laugh instead of Billy Gunn just laying into him, laying the law down, which was great. If you haven't watched the YouTube clip, go ahead and watch it, but it's a great... Billy Gunn goes off on him.
In other WWE Network news, last week was a celebration of the Click.
Yeah.
I liked the Click. I enjoyed it. But at this point, it is painfully obvious to me that Triple H is a major part of WWE and the network. And, he's obviously married into the McMahon family. Because a whole week due to the Click, there was some cool stuff. It was neat. There was like behind the scenes, almost like round table, and just had them talking. And it was X-Pac and Shawn Michaels and Triple H and Kevin Nash and Scott Hall just chatting about their old stories and goofy stuff. And it was kind of cool because I didn't realize that Hall and Michaels actually came up essentially in the indie circuit together.
Yeah.
Over in like Oklahoma or Kansas. And that was neat to hear about that. And he alluded to just a couple stories from there. And I was like, oh, man, all right, that's pretty cool. You think about those guys because we watch the indies now and we talk about how long these guys were in the indies and, like a Daniel Bryan or Cesaro. And you don't think about the stars of yesteryear being in the indies. Because for some of these guys, the era before Michaels, Hall, Nash, Triple H, is then you have guys, Hogan, Piper, and all those guys are run over from when wrestling was all indie.
Yeah.
Really. And then became mainstream. So you don't think about dudes like that coming up together in different levels. It was fun to hear that. Or like how they knew each other, how long they knew each other.
Well, now, I mean, they, Daniel Bryan wrestled Rollins,
right,
in the indies. All Ambrose was John Moxley. All these guys wrestled each other way back, going up. So most of these guys on the main roster all know each other from the indie scene too, which is pretty cool because they get the rapport down and they have some great matches. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Click. I was never a big fan of Nash. I was never a Shawn Michaels guy. I like Scott Hall. Triple H, and never really a big Triple H fan, but I think every 5 months we celebrate the Click. There's some kind of Click thing going on, which is cool. Triple H wants to get himself over every 5 months. Go ahead, but there's a lot more groups that I think had a bigger impact on wrestling. Kevin Nash was a terrible wrestler. He was awful.
Yeah. Hall and Nash had a bigger impact on the wrestling industry than DX.
Okay. Do you
Can
feel
we
that
agree?
if Hogan wasn't the third man, say it was Sting, all right? Say it was Sting, because originally Sting was going to be the third guy. Say it was Sting and the Outsiders.
We talk about NWO a lot on this.
Huh?
I feel like we talk about NWO a lot lately, but it's
But-
because we're getting the click
yeah.
thrown at us. Yeah.
But I'm saying, if Sting was a third guy, do you think the impact of NWO would have been the same with Sting and the Outsiders as it was what it did with Hogan and the Outsiders? I don't think so.
No, I think it still would have been big because Sting was such a face.
But who would? I mean, you would have had Hogan be against the NWO then.
Right.
It just seems wrong, maybe because I'm so used to seeing Hogan as a bad guy for NWO. But I'm saying that because Hogan made the NWO. The Outsiders didn't make the NWO. It was Hogan. Hogan was the main. Hogan was the star name.
Where they made it, yeah, yes and no, because they made it because of how they came over.
The thing is, though, I remember Scott Hall, NWO, of course, had some decent matches, nothing spectacular, but he had that ladder match with Shawn Michaels. That's the one match I remember from
WrestleMania 10.
Yeah,
It was awesome.
and
I was
remember,
a big Razor
yeah,
Ramon fan.
and that's the one match I remember from Scott Hall. But other than that, he had had a decent career. Kevin Nash,
He also was the guy who put over the 1-2-3 Kid.
yes, Kevin Nash was, as Diesel, was the worst WB champion ever when it comes to ratings. Nobody cared.
One of the shortest championship matches in history, though, to win the title.
Yeah, it was awful.
8 seconds.
It was awful.
Powerbomb to jackknife powerbomb to Bob Backlund.
And then he went to WCW and got control and put himself over. And then he was with Hogan, so he was getting himself over all the time.
Yeah.
So they had a decent career. Then Michaels obviously had a big career. Triple H has a big career. So, but I just don't get all this on their knees sucking off the click every 5 seconds.
But the NWO concept itself was essentially what kind of launched the Monday Night Wars.
Oh, definitely. With the
so
NWO,
I think those guys, that's what I say, those guys had a much bigger impact than Triple H and Shawn Michaels, in a sense that DX was not to WWE what NWO was to WCW.
What I'm saying is, if it wasn't for Hogan, I think the NWO the impact wouldn't have been the same. Yeah, it would have been a big deal.
Right, but at the same time, there would have been no NWO without Hall and Nash coming over like that.
I think you could have still had NWO if Hogan was still the one. If Hogan was the one still turning and being the part of NWO, and you had Macho Man and you had other guy that.
Yeah, see, it wouldn't make sense because at the time, Hall and Nash were so much younger than those guys. You gotta remember, like, there's still like a 15-year age gap between all of them.
I know, but if you would have had a Macho Man still, and say you had Macho Man and, another guy, older guy that was with WCW back then.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
No, major name. Say it was Piper. Let's just say it was Piper. Piper back in WCW. Piper, Hogan, and Macho Man as the NWO. I think that would have had just as big as an impact
when they first came to WCW.
Oh yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a trio of guys that would have had the same impact as Hall and Nash and Hogan. Hogan was the main guy because Hogan was never a bad guy ever.
Yeah, but no, I mean, yes and no, because the reason it worked so well is because those guys had already come to WCW, and people were realizing that WCW was just old, washed-up guys from WWF. And remember, Hogan went there after he was retired for a couple of years, and then they got him to come back. And all those guys sat around, and they were there. Then they all of a sudden they had established careers. They were like in the twilight of their careers at WCW, and people were getting tired of it. And the NWO breathed new life into it because they were younger and they were guys at the top of their game from WWF. Still not trickling downward.
Yeah.
Essentially at the top of their rise. And they're like, okay, here we go. We're heading over. Again, to talk about the prestige of the Intercontinental title. Razor Ramon, that was the apex of where he was an Intercontinental champion. Wasn't ever a WWF champion, but was still such a huge name for him to cross over at that time.
Yeah.
You couldn't have... You needed your Macho Man, your Pipers, your Duggans. You needed those guys to, essentially water down WCW with product that you've seen of in and out. Like, all right, these guys have been wrestling around forever now. It's the same old. We get it. We know exactly what's going to happen. You needed that layer to happen first before that. Because if you would have just gone into it with Hogan and Piper and Macho Man, with everybody that was already there, it wouldn't have worked the same way. The dynamic would have been totally different. It would not have been as successful.
I'll tell you who was the real winner of the Click. It's X-Pac.
Huge winner of the
Because
Click.
he had one night in China.
Yeah, he did. Well, I'm sure he had more than one.
Hey-o! God. Do you hear that? Hear the sirens?
Holler!
No?
If you hear me!
Windows open.
There's some flashing lights out there.
Is that what we're hearing, or is it time to do something?
Whoa.
I think it's time to call somebody.
Oh, yeah. It's time.
Oh no, you're gonna use Vader?
No, I better not.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't just
Holla if you hear me.
Time to call Scott Steiner here. So maybe he'll answer. Maybe he won't.
Probably won't.
It's late. It's a little later than we usually do.
Scott Steiner, what's your take on Rowdy Piper? Scott Steiner, how do you still feel about Hulk Hogan?
Oh,
No.
Again.
Voicemail again.
you know, it's geez, almost 11. Recording it. I figured a little bit later in the evening he'll be answering. He's in bed right now
Yep.
with his big bad booties.
With his freaks.
His freaks. All his.
Rubbing on his peaks.
It's another week. No Scott Steiner.
It's unfortunate.
But you know he keeps blowing my phone up. It's Virgil.
Virgil.
All these
I love
periscopes.
that fuck money.
Don't follow
I'm showing
Virgil
you,
on
there's two
Periscope.
black men.
Well, me
have
do it. It's
all
entertaining.
the pussy that you
It's
can
not when
get.
you're busy.
I had way more.
All right,
than
anything
he
else,
had,
buddy?
Okay. Every girl.
Follow me on
in the
Twitter,
Playboy
the
Mansion.
Steve Guy.
All
Everyone.
right, you're going down to Miami.
Going
this
down to
weekend.
Miami.
Yeah.
Be a good time there.
All right, so follow Steve for all his beach photos and
Yeah.
toes in the sand photos.
Yep. Hashtag get John Thorne famous. Don't forget that.
AIWrestling.com.
Yeah. Don't follow us at TIA
Yes.
Wrestling.
And go back and listen to Larry Zbysko. We're giving you 2 shows this week.
Yeah.
So listen to Larry Zbysko interview. Great interview with Larry. And go back and listen to all our interviews.
Shout out to Chipotle, which is pretty grill.
Yeah, we're
pretty
gonna
cool.
start-
Pretty good. We had that. We had some delicious Chipotle before the show today.
Yeah.
No confirmation as to whether or not that Chipotle chicken that was in our burritos was made on a Weber grill or not. But it's possible that Chipotle may have the Weber Grill app teaching about recipes and reading blogs and things. Maybe that's how they came up with it. I don't know.
And Weber Grill sponsors all our interviews, and our list is a long one, dude. So go on iTunes, and you can scroll through, and all our shows are labeled by the interview. So if you want to listen to Seth Rollins, you can scroll through and listen to Seth Rollins because he was on our show. Jerry the King Lawler, EC3 3 times. We had Samoa Joe, the Young Bucks, Neville, Kevin Owens, Cole Cabana, Chris Sabin, Sasha Banks. Lillian was on our show. Corey Graves, DJ Z, Brian Myers, a.k.a. Kurt Hawkins, The Miz, Bo Dallas, Heath Slater, Mark Henry, Little Guido, Johnny Gargano, Crazy Mary Dobson, Grado, Too Cold Scorpio, Taylor Hendricks. Whew, the list goes on.
Yeah.
Gary Barnage from the Browns.
Yeah. All right. Well, we talked a little bit about Raw. We talked a little bit about everything today. Piper.
Yeah, unfortunately.
We talked about more NWO. Back to that again. The Click. We talked about, plugs. Got our plugs in.
It's called Steiner.
Called Steiner. You know what time I think it is now? It's time for that big announcement.
Oh, the big announcement. Oh, can I get a drum roll?
Drum roll, please.
All right. So we apologize for not doing this because we got cut off.
Yeah, sorry we ran out of time last week for the big announcement.
We're only
and
allowed to.
It's got to condense. The
Yes.
file can only be so large.
So
we're ready to make the big announcement now.
I think we have plenty of time, don't we? I think we do.
We should be good.
Now the big announcement
Here it is.
we
R.